What's up? Welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. John Tam, and today I'm going to be talking about how to have better presentations on camera using center cam, right? I'm going to unbox it, review it, and so on. So by now with work from home, a lot of us have been using the camera to go on Zoom calls, team calls, or whatever calls that you use, right? And essentially by now we've gotten used to the fact that hey, how we present ourselves really matters, right? So in terms of having good lighting, and I have lighting right here. You can see the light moving on the side. Lighting is very important. Setting the stage for yourself, right? I got some lights, some diplomas hanging and or whatnot. And also just the good practice of looking into the camera and not looking off into the side, which I kind of did for a bit. So right now I'm looking at myself and I'm not looking exactly into the lens right now. If I'm looking exactly at the lens right now, it's gonna look like this, but I'm looking off into the side and you can see a little bit off. And if your screen's big, like you could tell that someone's not looking at the screen. So if you really want to have good presence, one of the things that you really want to do is to be looking into the camera and speaking to the person so that you establish that eye contact. And we all know with greater eye contact, there's greater trust, right? As long as it's not the creepy, like non-blinking stare. So I bought center cam because recently someone told me, hey, this is the solution to a desktop that doesn't have the camera hang up. And even if you have the MacBook laptop, the camera is like technically right above the screen. So when you're looking, you're not actually looking into the lens. You're kind of looking slightly below the lens, which is okay for some people. But if you're presenting professionally, like I do, you really want to be speaking directly to your listeners rather than looking, partly to the side or even further to the side. And if you're like looking at the next screen, you've totally lost them, right? So center cam is supposed to fix that problem. We're going to talk about that later on. But let's take a look right now at my setup, right? And right now what I have is I use a TV for a monitor because I like it. And what I have here is a Logitech Brio, right? And how I set it up, I put on a selfie stick so I can adjust the height. And basically I put my daughter's hair tie to make sure it's latched on properly, right? And so, yeah, that's what I do to make sure I'm looking directly into the screen. If you use any form of PowerPoint or presentation or slides, what happens is sometimes you need to look at the notes. And if your notes, and if you look at this, and you look at the size of this thing, it really gets in the way of looking into the notes because it's just too big. I pull up the text box right there on TextEdit, and essentially you can tell, like if you're looking from my perspective, you can't really see the text. If I extend the text, you can't see it. And if you want to maintain eye contact, you want to be looking perhaps only a little bit off the center of the camera. And so center cam is supposed to fix that problem. And so right now we're gonna look at that. Oh, by the way, yeah, here's the light I was talking about. I just hang it here, or sometimes I use this clip on to hang stuff on. I hang my camera on if I want to, have a conference, and I have another big light here. And so, yeah, you got to set your own stage. All right, with that being said, let's start unpacking the center cam and see how it stacks compared to my Logitech Brio 4K. Literally shipped over from the States. I got it off Indiegogo. A fellow career coach recommended it to me. I honestly think he didn't buy it himself. He probably just saw it. He's like, hey, you can probably get something like this. And so, yeah, it's only $100, so I decided to get it. Import tax cost at $30 though. So, there's that, because I live in Canada and we tax people. All right, so here we go. Let's open it up. See how it is. I ordered this back in June or July. Like, it's been almost well over a quarter, and I've had several big meetings since ordering this, hoping that I could have this for those meetings, but it never arrived on time. And so that, number one, I am slightly disappointed with the timeline of the wait. But at the same time, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm sure there are supply chain issues. So can't really fault the guys, but it's just slightly disappointing, but it's the nature of the beast right now. Okay, so box is out, and I'm gonna cut it open with my trusty Chinese sword, right? With the scabbard and everything. Okay, so here's what it looks like inside, center cam. And so here it is. It's packed okay. It's not like, it's very light actually. You hear it shaking, so it's kind of loose. I wouldn't say it's packed very well, but at the same time, yeah, so here it says this. Oh, it's designed in Nome, Alaska, and manufactured in China and the USA, patent pending, and it's trademark and licensed product of blah, blah, blah. Okay, center cam, a better connection. And that's the point, right? The eye contact, that matters. And if you're not used to it, if you're not used to presenting and all that, it's actually, quite difficult to maintain eye contact and speak all the time. So it's actually something that I actually had to develop over time as I'm doing YouTube videos and trying to speak. And the reason for that is it's not natural to activate your mirror neuron speaking to nobody other than the camera. But you'll get used to it. Before I show you what's inside the box, there's also a clip. And the purpose of the clip, I assume, is to clip on top of your monitor, or in my case, my TV, right? Some instructions, I'll look into that later on. Yeah, so here you go. Very straightforward. All right, so here we go. Here's the actual thing, right? Packed loosely, shook around, but it's a camera, so I'm assuming it's relatively safe. Packed in a plastic bag. There's a rip-off section right here. You might not be able to see this little thing here. You can tear it off, but you can also pour it just out because it's not exactly sealed. All right, so here's the actual camera. So it's metal tubing, and there's a cable running inside, and then the USB. Pretty standard stuff. And it's got this plastic wrap. It's got this plastic wrap right here. You can see it, the light. And I'm not gonna take it off because I'm Chinese and like to, keep the plastic wrap on. And any Asian would probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I kept my plastic wrap on my TV, so if you take it off, that TV is still new after like 3 years. And I recently took my plastic wrap off. All right, so here's how you use this, okay? So boom, thread this through and thread it through until you meet the metal tube, which I meet the metal tube here. And then I guess you latch it on. Okay, yeah, it's latched right on here. Very straightforward. There's actually a cover over the lens. So if you take it off, here's the actual lens now. Very small, very small. And if you compare it to my Logitech, which I will show you later on, it's definitely puny compared to that. And you can turn the direction in whatever direction you want. So you can put this here, clip it on the top of your monitor. And in my case, my monitor is gigantic and it's not latching exactly tight, but it's kind of sliding because my monitor is ginormous and has it slowed down? Yes, it's slowed down. All right, so I'm gonna hook it up and then we're gonna look at the quality of the camera. Alright, so after some adjusting, I finally managed to get things set up. So I'm looking at this camera here, which is my iPhone XS, and this one here is the center cam. Now, I have to say, right off the bat, it's much smaller than what I previously had from my, Brio with the hair tie that, that's there. So if you look at this right now, right? Previously, if I'm to look at the text, I'm gonna pull up a random text box, right? If I'm pulling up a random text box, previously my Brio would have blocked a ton of it. But right now, I only have this. And if I open a Prezi slide, previously if I was to read the notes up top, up here, if I'm to read the notes up here, what's gonna happen is that this camera would definitely be in the way, and sometimes it really breaks the flow because this thing's ginormous. However, with the center cam, what happens is I'm gonna sit over here, and I can speak. I can adjust the camera. My notes to be right above my camera. Oops, I'm gonna film over here. My notes to be right above my camera, and boom, it's nice and simple, straightforward. I can see perhaps it's blocking one word, but here it looks like I'm looking directly at the screen, right? I'm looking directly at the audience, the listeners, and yeah, it serves its function. So essentially, I'm gonna put this back over here. So essentially, that's that. However, at the same time, the picture quality is not the greatest, as you can probably tell. If I'm going to compare it directly with the Logitech Brio, this is using the same lighting, same setting, same everything. This is a Logitech Brio 4K in 1080p mode. And this Brio 4K can also go to, well, 4K. And in this case, it's 1080p, right? For the center cam. But in terms of the size and its effectiveness, essentially it's very straightforward. It's nice and small. Picture quality isn't the best, but it's nice and small. So if I want to have a conversation, it's going to be fine. But if it's going to be like recording a YouTube video or live streams, I'm not exactly sure if this is something that I would use. In terms of the camera itself, if I'm looking directly in the camera, awesome, right? You use it for that one call that you have to make. But if you're to wrap it up, like, put it away, then I basically have to do this, right? Either move it up out of the way, or I unclip it, right? I'm gonna unclip it and put it somewhere. And of course, that's sometimes a hassle because, like, where you're gonna put it, I guess you can put it on the side, whatever. But my main concern is redeployment, right? So if it's set up right now. If I'm to straighten it out again, I'm just gonna put my thing here on the side, my gimbal on the side. And if I'm to redeploy it, it's going to take some time. It's not like a very straightforward setup because, it's not a straightforward setup. All right, done. It doesn't look that great because it doesn't look that great. All right, go. Hit something. All right, so there's a piece, and because it's so small, any minor movement, any minor tweak would totally throw it off. And so that's worth noting as well. And so, right now, okay, camera's reset up, but that took a good, 30 seconds, 40, 50, like 1 minute or whatever. If I'm to use my nice Brio, usually I just, put it here and I'm done, right? Set it at default height. If I don't want it, put it on the side. So once again, I'm not saying it's a bad camera by any means. The picture quality, like I said, it isn't the best, but the practicality of deployment and being quick with it, it's also something, the fact that there's the cable, there's the clip, there's the camera itself, and the fact that I can turn left and right, it does leave a lot of variables. So that does mean you have to set it up so that it looks good every time. If I'm to do a live stream where I'm going to be presenting to an audience and so on, my only reservation with the center cam is that it's small, but at the same time it's kind of the picture quality isn't that great, and so I guess it would depend on how much bandwidth you have for your stream and what you really want for that stream. But if you want to have a nice conversation and it's just a Zoom call, or if you have something like some applications I could imagine for this is something like you have a sales script, or you have some notes that you really want to present and speak as though you're speaking to the audience, then there's definitely an application for center cam. However, if it's something for like a YouTube stream, which I have on my channel sometimes, then I would probably not use center cam. Am I going to keep using my Brio? Honestly, I don't know. I'll probably just keep my Logitech Brio just to keep my options open, just because, but for the center cam, I'll definitely keep it as well because it is nice and useful, and if I want to plug it in, this small little cap here does the job. Of course, it's small, so you could lose it as well, and that's another headache. Overall, that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments below. This is not a tech review. This is more like a straightforward application review for a lay person if they want to use something different for, just to improve their presentations. Other than picture quality, it does exactly what it says it will do. If you like this video, hit the like button and click the subscribe and share it with your friends if you really enjoyed it. All right, so take care, everybody.